Okay, guys. So anyway, 4 days ago, I attempted to put this video up. It took me a little bit time to make this video. It's 40 minutes and 39 seconds. Uh, got blocked worldwide before I could even get to the details and all, tags and whatnot. So I want to see who exactly blocked me. And here's like everybody. I'm thinking, oh man, look at this. They just clobbered me. But then I looked, closer real quick, and I noticed that they're all monetized by the copyright owner. Monetized, except for this last one. Blocked. ITV, right? WMG let it go with just monetizing. TMZ, Warner Brothers, So watch this, man. Watch who is the cause of this blocking.
Now then, most of us have spent our entire lives thinking that the Earth looks like this.
Okay, so don't want to play that video, obviously, because I will be blocked again. But this is the reason it was blocked. Good old Mark, the hero, the father, the trooper, the go-getter, the guy who's destroying flat Earth from the inside. Right there. Look at his face, man. Whoa. So anyway, in between them few days, I was like, just figured out, I don't even feel like doing this. And then, of course, Mad Mike dies. Okay, this is it. I don't see anybody being ejected. They're saying he was ejected. So I don't know how you would see that. That was far up in the air. I don't see no body coming down or nothing. I don't know where he got ejected to. I don't know, man. I don't know about that story. I don't know if you heard that story, but yeah. Looks like whatever's in that rocket is pretty much mush. So if he was in there, he's dead. If he wasn't in there, which is, of course, already going around, because there doesn't seem to be any film to show him getting in or out. And this was not for like a flat Earth thing, even though this is being promoted now as flat Earth because it's fatal. He was part of a team of 3 teams. It was a TV show, and it was amateur. So Bob and crew, Globebusters did a show yesterday, and they talked briefly about this. And what they really did was put in the disclaimer that, they never promoted him and yakety yak and disclaimer this and disclaimer that. He wasn't really a flat earther, and IPS was, after they promote stuff and then they find out that they're no good, then they have to, disclaim. But Patricia Steer and Mark Sargent and all those fuckers, they all promoted him. And, they just said, Jaron said, he just gave money to put the flat earth painting on the side, whatever. So he gave $5 toward that or some shit. I forget the stories. It's just a load of crap. So, they're just pushing hard that he was never a flat earther. That's not what he was doing. He was just whatever he was, which it was a stunt guy. But, I think he found some money here and there by doing what he could and getting, he has, all you got to do is look at his jacket. I don't see it where it says Flat Earth on his jacket ever. But he does talk about it. He had said that he's Flat Earth's best bet of seeing space or something. I know he said that one time. But yeah, but he was promoted by the controlled opposition, of course. So then you go over to Facebook and, oh, Jesus. And the, and the Flat Earth Society is over here. It says, what does it say here? Our hearts go out to the family and friends of Michael Hughes, friend and member of the Flat Earth Society. He was a man who followed his passion. Friend and member. Now, they only called Mark Sargent a friend. They called this guy friend and member. So then what you see here is pretty, it's pretty bad. It's not good. It's not a good thing because everybody's blaming Flat Earth for his death because he was like bamboozled, all kinds of stuff. It's just, you can imagine. It's very bad. Very bad. Not a good thing. Some people are actually saying it's sad, and sad to see all the meanness. Yes, it is. And I think they might have gone through some of this stuff and tried to get some of the more cold-blooded crap out of here, but because it's bad. I mean, people are fucking cold, man. Seriously. The world, the earth, I mean, it might as well just end because people ain't getting no better, man. Ain't getting no. That's right, double negative. That bugs the shit out of me when other people do it, so. Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know. It's probably not a good thing to sit here and laugh at this because, this is going to probably have repercussions. Make everybody who believes that the earth might be flat just look like they need to be locked the fuck up and put away. And that's it, because they're dangerous. They kill people, It's a cult. It's a cult, and then you get caught up in the cult, and look at this poor guy, Mike Hughes. He just, oh boy. This is just not a good thing, man. Not a good thing. So anyway, I put this in the beginning of the, let's see. What a dick. Yeah, so it's going to be tough to make this video now and leave this main part out that got, taken down, blocked worldwide because of this. This sucks, I don't even know why I'm bothering doing this because what the hell difference does it make to anybody? Doesn't make no difference to nobody. But I'll probably just do it anyway. All right, well. Okay, guys, you might hear a little fan. I just wanted to show you the segment that I have to take out and what, matter of fact, let me just make this just a little bigger for you, all right? So that would begin, here it is. Okay, so you can see all these captions, right? Captions and captions and captions and captions. And all this work and input that I put in here while they're interviewing Mark, and all this now has to be taken out. All this. Everything I did here, all this work, all of it has to be taken out up to the TMZ part right there. So how many captions is all that? how much fucking work is all that? You can see why I took the 4 days off and didn't even bother coming back to it, just watching other people do what they're doing. It's really pathetic. I can't believe I have to do this.
Fools. They are everywhere.
Cheers.
Not a compliment. And they come in all shapes and sizes. Here we go. Who better to test the new foolproof iPhone app from Sportsbet than these Einsteins?
I personally believe that apps like such as Sportsbet, they make it easier for people to use, such as some
I'm with you.
people.
Yep, it's so easy. Even Botox Bradley here can use it without raising an eyebrow.
I'll never botch your head-to-head again.
And you make it look so natural. Flat Earth expert Mark Sargent thinks the moon landing was a hoax.
Technically, the moon itself is a hoax.
Right, but betting with Sportsbet's new iPhone app?
I could do this standing on my head.
Thanks, Gravity. Sportsbet's new iPhone app. It's foolproof.
Well, I think the issue here is we're talking about primary school. We're talking about very young children. We're talking about children 5, 6, 7, 8. To us, that seems extremely young to start pushing a social agenda on such young children. It's different when you become an adult or a teenager. You can start working through those things. But at such a young age, we feel that a child is not able to make an informed decision. It's a major life-changing thing.
I think we've done a lot of transgender interviews on here. Met a lot of children who have decided that that they are gender fluid, and a lot of parents who as well. The parents, I think, pretty much on the whole, I could say that never pushed their children into this. It was the child's choice to help them. It was the child that had the issue that they felt. I want to do this for me.
Yes. I think we would say that, you know, children at that young who have a confusion about which gender they are, that they need that support. You know, we have compassion and love about these families, and the families. This has been a very painful thing because we are friends with these people. We love the school, and we do assemblies. We're very involved, but we see the effect of this on there, and we just felt that the process that happened is not right. It was just like pushed. This is going to happen one day. They just turn up. A boy wearing a girl's dress with a girl's name, instead of having a proper consultation with that. And we just feel that child needs to be taken aside with medical advice, people who experience... Medical advice?
Well, why
yes.
medical advice? Why does a child who decides they're gender fluid need medical advice?
Well, under the Equality Act, apparently, you know, it's at the age of 18 this starts, and you have to show that you have been a transgender for 2 years and that sort of thing. But again, it comes down to it being a child. You see, a child of that so young can't make that informed decision. It's far too young. And the statistic also apparently is that 98%, I believe, of people who say that they felt like that when they were younger turn out not to be like that at all. And I think it could be damaging not only to you know, the transgender stuff, but all the other kids.
Can I make, because obviously, you know, you'd made the decision to take both your children out and homeschool them because they were under a amount of stress, and I can understand that it might have been a shock that one day suddenly a boy comes in a dress and the names change, and without that understanding of what's happened, I can understand that might have been an unusual thing to happen. But is this not part of the understanding that by doing this, there is greater understanding. And actually, it could have been a chance to open up a conversation to educate,
Great.
so it became more normal, so it wasn't a stressful situation.
I totally agree with you, but we felt that it shouldn't be done in the environment of the school. It should be done out of the school. These things have to be dealt with.
But they are at school, aren't they? I guess that's the thing.
It's a major part of that child's life. It's where they spend most of their time.
But then you're imposing that on all the other children.
Why is it an imposition?
Because you are asking them. They know that one day they know that child, that they're their friends, they're a boy, this is their name, and now you're saying, now you have to now call them he, she, change the pronoun, change the name.
There'll be a lot of people who are saying that children adapt remarkably well, and if things are explained to them, then they understand very clearly. It's not an issue with the children; it's an issue with you. You're the ones that have the problem, not the children.
Well, how do you deal with a child then? Because one of the children comes sometimes as a boy, sometimes as a girl.
It was an unusual start to Friday's This Morning programme.
Today, Philip would like to share something with you. And to help him do that, he's here with his on-screen partner, but more importantly, his friend, Holly.
Philip Schofield, the presenter who usually helps guests share part of their lives with viewers, instead today shared a part of his, revealing that he is gay.
We sit here every day, and I'm over there, and some amazingly brave, incredible person is sitting here, and I'm listening to their story and thinking, oh my God, you're so brave, oh my God, you're so brave. And I'm thinking, I have to be that person. I have to be that person. Because I think all you can be in your life is honest with yourself. And I was getting to the point where I knew I wasn't honest with myself. I was getting to the point where I didn't like myself very much because I wasn't being honest with myself.
Just minutes earlier, he shared the news on his Instagram account to his almost 3 million followers. A statement read today by his co-host, Holly Willoughby.
You never know what is going on in someone's seemingly perfect life, what issues they are struggling with, or the state of their well-being. And so you won't know that what has been consuming me for the last few years. With the strength and support of my wife and my daughters, I've been coming to terms with the fact that I am gay.
Forces of nature. So in what areas, what are you looking at?
Well, the idea is that if you look at the world that we see, so you know, the green leaves, the blue sky, spherical planets, all those things are telling you something about the deeper structure that underlies nature. So even life. So next week's is about the origin of life. So it's how did we, you know, we feel living is a very special thing, but it's a property of matter, of this stuff. You know, the Earth was once just a dead world when it formed, you know, 4.5 billion years ago, and at some point that matter came alive.
And you go to some really far-flung destinations, and as you can see there from that tiny bit that we showed, I mean, it's beautiful. Like, it's beautifully shot, and you see some incredible things that you wouldn't necessarily have to get to see.
Yeah, I think that was the idea, to send film crews out, and it's sort of the way you mentioned David Attenborough earlier, the way that his programmes work, where a film crew can go and for months even film something spectacular. And we saw that wave on that clip through the Amazon. It's a wonderful, incredible tidal wave that goes up the river, and you see in the film that someone spends their life surfing it. So there's kind of his whole thing is to wait for this wave and surf into the jungle of the Amazon.
The Earth is flat. Why do you say that?
The evidence that we've seen doesn't suggest that what we've been told is true.
What evidence have you seen?
Well, I personally have been to Lake Balaton with FE Core, and we've actually done a laser test from one end of the lake to the, well, didn't do the full lake because it's massive, but we did a 12-kilometre test, and we could actually see the laser from one end to the other. And since then, the guys have actually produced a 40-kilometre laser test.
So this guy with a laser debunks all the pictures?
No, it's not. That's the only thing. It's just an example of some of the experiments.
So, Darren, you were sceptical at first, weren't you? So you thought...
I think it's right to be sceptical about alternative views, but what we never are is sceptical about the mainstream view that we're told since we're children. Over and over again, it's programmed into us.
So what finally convinced you then?
Well, it took me 6 months. I was sceptical for the first 6 months. And there are a couple of main things. One is water always finds level. So in our own experience in natural physics, you have a cup of tea or a swimming pool or a lake, water is level. But we're led to believe that, well, the Earth is supposed to be 70% water, so at some point water starts curving around a ball. Now, obviously, the answer to that is the magic of gravity.
Yeah.
Now, I believe gravity exists, but only as an effect, not as a cause. So science itself has never proven gravity as a force itself. What is proven is 9.8 meters per meters per second squared is the near constant rate of acceleration towards the Earth all over the Earth.
What is happening here?
That's what I'm saying. We don't know, and science has never proven that as a force. Obviously, they have proven it is observable science that things accelerate at the same rate. Yeah, but
and that we're stuck to the ground.
Nobody knows what is actually causing it, and scientists themselves will tell you.
So Sir Isaac Newton got that wrong, did he? Did he just get that completely wrong?
Well, I don't think he particularly got it wrong. I think we're told a lot of truths, but possibly not full truths.
What about someone like Brian Cox? Is Brian Cox a liar?
I mean, you'd never call somebody, you know, outright a liar. But is he mistaken? Absolutely. But are most of the world, or 99%, you know, of people mistaken? Yes.
This is what Brian Cox had to say about the flat Earth theory.
Put aside the fact that we've taken photographs of it, and you can see a horizon. And not only can you see the horizon, but you can see things move behind the horizon or in front of the horizon, depending on the height that you choose to look at the things. You see, I'm lost for words. It's probably the most nonsensical suggestion that a thinking human being could possibly make. It is drivel.
So that's from a scientist.
He was, and he said something very interesting there. He said it's nonsensical, and we say that's actually not true. What our own senses tell us is that the Earth is stationary.
But nobody's fallen off the edge of it.
Nobody has fallen off the edge.
At what point do you fall off the edge?
Can I just respond to what Brian said there? He said things disappear behind the curve, and one of the main reasons why we believe that the Earth is a fixed stationary plane is because things aren't disappearing as quickly as they should be. We can see cities and mountains and islands 40, 60 or 100 miles. The world photography distance record is 273 miles, right? And we can see the tips of the Pyrenees from the south of France, and you shouldn't be able to see it.
You can't see the base of them.
Well, of course not.
Because the Earth is round.
Not because the Earth is round, and because of perspective, and because of the way light works, and because of the way our eyes work.
We interviewed on it. One of the highlights of my career, actually, was interviewing Major Tim Peake up in space on the International Space Station.
Right.
Now, he brought in his beautiful book. You see the curvature of the Earth. You very clearly see that it's a circle. So are you telling me that this interview with him, I'm talking to somebody that's just made that up or wasn't actually there?
Yeah, he's not.
He's not in outer space. Where is he then?
In a Hollywood studio type.
Not necessarily
environment.
Hollywood
maybe
studio,
here.
but
maybe where we are now.
But so you're saying that Tim Peake is a liar?
Well, I mean, if you look at Tim Peake and people like Neil Armstrong and all the astronauts, they're all military guys. If you look at them, they're all military. They're not scientists.
No, they're not. No, they're not. 230 individuals from 18 different countries have visited the space station. They were not all military. Some were teachers. We've met some of them, ordinary people. Are all 230 people liars?
Can we just end this debate by saying...
No way can we.
We've got a beautiful globe over here.
It's been going for quite some time.
We've got a fantastic globe over here, right? I'm going to ask ISS, NASA, whatever, to zoom out of the Earth right now and show us planes, zoom to show people walking upside down. Let's do that, and we will... I'll come back here and apologise.
The space station can't zoom out to 230. It can't zoom out to beyond where...
So can we get a probe out? Can we get a probe out?
We've done that.
It's only 250
of the whole Earth, and showing aeroplanes flying upside down underneath the globe? Can we see that?
All we see is CGI.
There are apps that can show you that.
What, aeroplanes flying upside down?
Live?
No.
Wow.
Yes, there's the live positioning of all the aeroplanes in the world.
Right,
They're on there.
that...
Can you answer me a question? Because I have personally seen with my own eyes the curvature of the Earth.
Is he lying?
Is it the circle vision of your...
He's not a liar, though.
Is it the circle limit of your sight? Because obviously the limit of our eyesight...
I was very lucky, and I went on Concorde. Okay. So I was very lucky I went on Concorde. So that's 60,000 feet. You could clearly see the curvature of the Earth.
What's the shape of the windows?
Actually, science...
it was the shape of the window.
No, I didn't say that. I said, what was the shape of the windows, is what I said.
Like an oval?
Scientists themselves tell us that you have to be 50 miles up to be able to see the curvature of the globe. A plane, an average commercial plane, travels at 7 miles, which is around 33,000 feet, 35,000 feet.
Wasn't.
You were about 10 or 12 miles, so we're still, again, way below what scientists themselves tell us.
Oh, I've got so many questions. We're going to have to end this. I'm really sorry. I really want to ask you, but hold on. We will. We can continue. But we asked the poll. You've got a long way to convince our viewers, I'm afraid. Do you think the Earth is flat? No, say 94% of you, but 6%.
That's probably about right. All I'd say is go research it for yourself. There is a wealth of material online. Have a look.
We're living in the
yourself.
age of technology. There's no excuse anymore.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Although the Greeks saw the shadow on the thing, they didn't.
If you are interested,
yes, we are.
I bet there is.
If you are interested, the space station is currently off the coast of New Zealand.
Or is it?
And
He's in.
Yo, Snookum. This is Murray doing his impression of a normal person. That's my baby.
I don't like it when you call me that.
No? Okay, I won't say that. Okay. Anyways, do you have a phone call to make?
Yeah, nope, you're right. Okay, I'll be back.
Okay.
Where's my coffee?
Okay. It's my girlfriend, right? Yeah. Mind if I ask your advice on this? I feel like, I feel like I have to break up with her. She thinks the Earth is round. I swear, she thinks the Earth is round, which is crazy. I don't agree with her. For me, I think it's kind of a deal breaker.
She wants me to go on a cruise?
Also, believe what you want, but she wants me to go on a cruise and fall off the edge? No. There be monsters there. I've seen the maps. There be monsters there.
If you fall off, what will you fall to?
Oh, no. You're an Earth rounder, too? Well, I'm sorry. You actually do believe it's round.
It is.
I would never date you. I feel like we're straying from the topic.
Should I break up with her?
Should I break up with her? Hey, babes. How's mom?
Everything was good.
She's good?
Yeah.
I've been talking to this crackpot over here, and he thinks the Earth is round, too. So...
I thought we were done with this argument.
We're never done with the argument.
I want to take you on a cruise to prove to you.
I'm not going on a cruise, Carly.
We're not going to fall off.
You're asking me to sign my death wish.
This is an insane fear.
Screw this. I'm breaking up with you. It's done. I'll see you at the end of the Earth. That was such a bad breakup. I know, that was terrible. Let me do it again.
Oh, you want to break up with me better?
I'm out of here.
Good job.
Is that better?
Yeah, that was great.
And what the does that mean?
I see stuff all around. Did you see the dizzy goggles? No. So here's our clumsy waiter, Sal Volcano. So we have some alcohol impairment glasses here. These are what they are. Murray, stand right here for me. Look, now here's where Murray really is. Move him up. There you go. And now watch where Murray goes. So now Sal's gonna have to try to fill up waters wearing these glasses.
This is exciting.
Yeah. Here we go.
Oh, you. All right, Sal. Go fill up that water glass. Hey, sir, get you some more water.
You missed the cup completely.
You weren't even close. Here you go, buddy.
Enough with the water. Why don't you pick up your tray in the service station number 1?
Which? Oh, no. Oh, my God.
Here we go. Come on out of service station 1, and there's your drinks of water to serve.
It looks like there's like 10 glasses of water hovering in the air, and I have an empty tray in my hand. Oh, buddy. Sorry. Sorry.
You idiot! Serve right there.
Oh, no! I'm so sorry.
Sal, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody in my life say, "Oh, no!"
Keep going.
What did he do? Did he put it on one
He put
in
water
the
in the other.
The Flat Earth Society has tweeted back Elon Musk.
What is a flat Earth society, by the way?
People who believe the Earth is flat.
Still?
Yeah.
Well, I think we solved that a long time ago.
We did.
Elon Musk had tweeted out, "Why is there no Flat Mars Society?" And everyone thought it was super funny, you know, whatever. The Flat Earth Society finally wrote back, and they said, "Hi, Elon. Thanks for the question. Unlike the Earth, Mars has been observed to be round. We hope you have a fantastic day." It's very confusing.
Yeah, but from Mars, Earth has been observed to be round.
Clearly. That's why everybody is super confused right now.
Why couldn't the Earth be round but not spherical? It could be flat round.
A flat disc?
A flat disc with ice around the edges.
Because we would fall off the end when you're on a boat.
I'm just saying, I don't believe in these people, but people trust textbooks and they've never observed it themselves.
Charlie, you're from down under, so when you left Australia and came to America, when did you go on the other side of the disc?
I don't know, it was nighttime. I wasn't looking out the window.
The following is a story from one of our unfortunate writers. During the holidays, I traveled back home to see my mom for what I thought was going to be a fun break, but things turned a bit sour one evening when she broke some important news to me. "The Earth is flat," she announced, speaking in a serious tone, usually reserved for matters of life and death. "What on earth are you talking about?" I said to her. And again she told me the planet was actually flat, and all these years we've been lied to. The fact is indisputable, she said, immutable, incontestable, and she knew that because she'd been doing a lot of reading on the internet. "Okay," I told her, "state your case." This is how our conversation went. "Okay," she said, "firstly, you don't know that I'm wrong because you never observed the Earth as a whole. From where you stand anywhere on Earth, the world will seem flat to you. That's a fact." I peered out the window. She was right about that. Things did look pretty flat out there. Was the entire world just one big whopper? "So that's it?" I said. "Just because I can't observe the entire thing, it must be flat?" "No," she replied. "That's just my starting point, and stop smirking. This is deadly serious." At that point, an image flashed through my mind of my mother surrounded by men in white coats coaxing her to take her daily medication. "Okay," I said. "I haven't personally been up so high that I saw the spherical Earth, but other people have, and they have seen the Earth. You can actually see it rotating on its axis. We've measured the diameter of the thing, and it's approximately 7,900 miles, or to most people living on this non-flat Earth, 12,700 kilometers. There are images of this big ball all over the place." "All lies," she said. "Those books have been lying to you. The videos and the photos have been manipulated." She said the Earth is flat like in ancient myths where a turtle carries it on its back. And what we observe in the sky is not what we think. What encompasses the Earth is actually a firmament dome, she said. NASA has lied to us and is in on the conspiracy, but that doesn't mean all scientists know the truth, only that they have too bought into this spherical nonsense. She said during the Cold War the conspiracy got going and billions of dollars were spent on space exploration. This money is still being wildly spent, and you, my son, are paying taxes and funding this rubbish. People have been getting incredibly rich because you take movies like Apollo 13 seriously. You're telling me Tom Hanks is in on the conspiracy? "No," she replied, "and don't get funny, you know what I mean." "Okay," I said. "I have one word to say to you. Seasons. Expand," she said, trying to sound scholarly. "We have different seasons all over the world, ergo the sun's rays are hitting different places and they're making places hotter or colder. Those rays hit different parts of the Earth, and so when it's winter in one place, it's summer in another place. If the Earth were flat, all the Earth would have is the same season all at the same time. You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know this." She told me that the sun just moves around the flat Earth, so it hits certain places at certain times. She then went to get a plate out of the kitchen and began moving an orange around it. She said the sun and the moon were the same size, and she said the sun, that orange she was holding, rotates around the North Pole, which is actually in the middle of the flat Earth. "But Mom," I said, "the sun is much bigger than the moon, and that is observable. That orange plate thing doesn't really mean anything." I also explained to her that if this theory were true, then New York and Los Angeles would see the sun set and rise at the same time, which is not true. There is a time difference, so when it's evening in New York, it's afternoon in LA. How can that be? She told me I'm an ignorant fool, but didn't answer my query. This was quite strong language for my mom. It seemed to me that all those hours she had spent arguing online had made her quite intolerant to opposing ideas. Dare I say it, I was offended by her breach of familiar decorum. "Okay," I said, once I unruffled my feathers. "What's at the edge of this flat world, and why don't things just fall off?" She told me that surrounding the Earth is a giant wall of ice, and that is Antarctica. Like Game of Thrones, I said, laughing. Should we fear the White Walkers? If you're not going to take this seriously, I won't explain further, she said sternly. Okay, go on. She said the sun was in fact not millions of miles away. She said it's actually only about 32 miles in diameter, and it hovers around the flat Earth at around 3,000 miles away. It acts like a moving spotlight, she said. So when it's above you, it's light, and when it goes away, it's dark. But it also moves closer to the North Pole in the middle of the Earth at a gradual rate, and then it moves outward toward the edge of the world. And that's why we have seasons. It's that simple. The thing is, Mom, if you use this model, the sun would never set. You can actually watch scientists making a model of your version of the events. It doesn't work according to how things are down here. Moreover, I told her, during the equinox, the sun rises due east and sets due west everywhere on the planet except at the poles. How could this be possible with your orange and plate theory? Sundials wouldn't even work, which would have been bad for people before we started using timepieces. Okay, please continue. You were also saying something about a massive ice wall? Allow me to retort, she said. She's a big Quentin Tarantino fan. What lies beyond the wall is the greatest mystery to us all. We simply can't get over it, and it probably protects us from something insidious. This wall holds in the oceans, and it keeps us from knowing what's beyond. In fact, this year we plan to sail to the wall in what will be one of the boldest missions humankind has ever undertaken. Okay, so who is going to be on that great voyage, I asked her. She told me it's headed by Flat Earth International, a group she is now a card-carrying member of. Mom, I intoned, I'm very surprised that there's this giant wall of ice around the world, and so far no one, and I mean no one, has ever photographed it. She replied that we have seen great walls of ice and that the rest of the border is made up of mountain ranges. That's why we can't just fall off the edge of the world. But why haven't the planes seen this edge, I asked her. She then went on about something called the Pac-Man effect, and like in the game, when a plane reaches the edge, it just teleports to the other side. She admitted that this was only a current theory and not the truth like everything else she'd said. This was now new territory, and those men in white coats were suddenly becoming quite real to me. And what about gravity? I asked her. To which point she said the whole thing is a hoax. Things just fall. She dropped that orange to prove her point, and amid my utter astonishment at her simplicity and undermining years of science, I wondered why on earth she ever sent me to school. She said under this flat earth there are magnets and they pull the oceans and change sea level. Maybe we should talk about the stars, I said. I told her that if we were on a flat earth, we'd all see the same constellations in the night sky. In real life, if you were at a certain latitude, you might see the Big Dipper, but if you were at another latitude, it wouldn't be visible. How's that possible? Going back to ancient times, astronomers saw the changes in the constellations and they knew the Earth couldn't be flat. How do people on different sides of the world see different night skies? She told me when we travel, we simply have a different perspective, so that when we travel away from things, they can become smaller and then they just disappear. But they are still there. That's why we can see certain stars in certain places. She said there's a vanishing point for stars just like anything else we observe at a distance. Mom, I said, I admit that I don't quite understand that in this context, but I'll just say that astronomers will tell you that certain constellations appear in the night sky at certain locations. Your vanishing point theory doesn't exactly convince me. And let's talk about the horizon. When we see things like ships float out to sea, they get farther away and appear to sink. We see less of the ship. Let's say the water was very calm. If the Earth was flat, we'd see that ship go out for a long way, and then it would disappear over the horizon. Then let's say we used an instrument to magnify that object, and we might see it, but see it seeming to sink. At some point, it'll disappear, never mind what instrument we're using because of the curvature of the Earth. If this place were flat, with a good enough telescope, we should be able to see everything in front of us. But we cannot. Explain that, dearest mother. Look, son, it's all about perspective and light refraction. The object is not going over the horizon, you just think it is. Weird, I said, since it's been scientifically proven. She had one word for that. Liars! Okay, so why, if other objects in space are obviously not flat, how come we live on a flat object? Hope you have a reasonable answer to that one. There is no reason, my child. Just look around you. That TV is rectangular, but the clock is round. The Earth is just different, just as all things have certain shapes. Well, Mom, I admire your deductive reasoning, and I hope one day I'll see my first square bird swim through a desert of marshmallow sand. Cause hey, there are no rules in this universe. Sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, she replied angrily. But the highest form of intelligence, I quipped, quoting Oscar Wilde. I then told her something else. I brought up a flight from Sydney to Santiago, Chile. This 7,000-mile flight takes roughly 12 hours. If the Earth were flat, it would take much, much longer. You can actually go online and track this flight. Is everyone lying about the flight time? On a flat Earth map, you can measure the distance and calculate how long it would take. And it's been done, and it's far longer than if the world were a sphere. She just shook her head at that. Okay, she then said, so if the plane is flying around the Earth's curvature, then surely it wouldn't be horizontal all the time. So how come you take a spirit level on a plane and it shows it is horizontal most of the time? If you attach the world's smallest spirit level to the back of a housefly and told it to fly around a beach ball, that level would not read flat. Mom, that incredibly simplistic example has convinced me that we undoubtedly cannot share the same DNA. Let me just say, the Earth is not a beach ball and a plane is not a fly. I hope that's clear to you. She looked down at me like I was the idiot. I told her that planes lift into the air with their wings and this enables them to fly, which I thought was pretty obvious. Once up in the sky, the pilot doesn't have to make many adjustments to stay at a certain altitude. He might adjust the plane when he wants to reduce altitude, but this is very incremental. It's the same thing when you're traveling down what looks like a long, straightish road. You might be moving to the left, but it's so slight, only a minor turning of the wheel over some period of time has to be done. Imagine a housefly flying over New York. Does it have to go down on a downward trajectory to get where it wants to go? Exactly, she screamed. That just proves my point. I had to sit down for a second and hold my head in my hands. It wasn't funny anymore. I was no longer having a good time. She was totally impervious to the most basic reasoning. Okay, let's get back to the absurd stuff, Mom, because that's at least amusing. And I'm talking about the great ice wall that no man has ever breached. You have to wonder why the plane can't get over this wall, because there are plenty of aerial photographs of Antarctica taken from planes. Well, she said, maybe you just don't want to show us what's out there, so no plane is allowed to go that far. If it did, it would Pac-Man back like I already told you. But we will get to the edge of the world, and that's why we're going to sail there on the Great Flat Earth Expedition. Okay, and you know the ship that they'll be sailing on will use navigational instruments that were designed on the scientific basis of the curvature of the Earth? Like if the Earth were flat, you could just use 3 satellites and be on your way. But because it's spherical, you need satellites on the other side of the Earth. You do understand that, don't you? She scowled at me. But then that turned into a smug smile. Oh, you'll see. We'll get there and all you deniers will be in awe at what we've achieved. Wait a minute, I said, and I went into the kitchen. I came back and passed her a plastic cake knife that we never use. You might need this, I said. It's dragon glass. That's just a made-up story, she said. I know, I told her. Let that sink.
Flat Earth expert Mark Sargent thinks the moon landing was a hoax.
Technically, the moon itself is a hoax.
Right, but betting with Sportsbet's new iPhone app?
I could do this standing on my head.
Thanks, Gravity. Sportsbet's new iPhone app. It's foolproof.